Hi, I'm Mervin Canham. I grew up in El Dorado Park, Cliff Street West. That's where we are today at home. My parents' house where I grew up. Um, I am a 43-year-old man. And I think this interview is quite personal because of it being at home where it all started. I guess most of my childhood started here, and this house in particularly molded me. The house doesn't look the way it looked back then, because obviously we've extended and done a lot of alterations to the house. But it's quite personal. So growing up here, what was it like growing up here? It was interesting growing up here. I guess we grew up the way we grew up. We grew up with my mom's kids. So my mom's got two kids from two different men. My dad has two kids from two different women, and we grew up with my mom's kids in the house. My eldest brother and my sister, who's 5 years older than me, and we all grew up here. I always remember this house particularly being a super busy house. There was always a lot of fun activities and drinking, friends over. So our house was always full. Even with my mom's sister's kids, they grew up here as well. And they lived here because of circumstances. My mom being the eldest sister and holding it down for them, she had to be the big sister and look after her siblings' kids. Her sister's kids and brother's kids as well lived here. So I don't have the idea of having my own room. Never had my own room, but it was always a busy house, and I always remember I felt kind of weird and different. I suppose in the house we all spoke English, and outside where we all grew up was Afrikaans. Still is Afrikaans. It's an Afrikaans neighborhood, and I guess so Afrikaans wasn't basically taught in the house. We had to figure Afrikaans out in the streets from friends and that sort of stuff, and at school as well. But coming back to the household, also like so people that wanted greener pastures from Durban, because my family's from Durban originally, and they came here to look for greener pastures, look for better jobs. They came here to look for work and that sort of stuff, and they would be housed here at my mom's house, either whichever side of the family. They'd be housed and looked after until they got on their feet, basically. So that was, I guess, an interesting time. But it was. I guess the idea of family was a beautiful idea. My cousins would look after me. I'd enjoy having family around me all the time. And there were times where there was a lot of abuse as well, in terms of like alcoholism, my dad beating up my mother, that sort of thing, and us being scared. So the house would, I guess, was sort of, we'd have to be on our toes a lot of the time. And I guess with my mom, I remember this year where I'm sitting now, it used to be like a red stoop, and we had to look after that stoop. That stoop had to be shining, it had to be red and shining. And if it wasn't like that, we'd all get into trouble, we'd get hidings. So I guess also with my mom, I never knew where I stood. There was always this kind of feeling when she was intoxicated, I could get stuff from her. When she wasn't intoxicated, I had to then I couldn't ask her for things. So, and that was sort of like the household. I struggled in school a lot. I had a learning disability. I still do. I'm dyslexic. So, and I guess back then there wasn't really a lot of support for dyslexia. But what would happen was as a result of that, I felt stupid and inadequate around other kids. So, yeah, I remember just being a scared kid. Also, the fact that I spoke English wasn't really helpful, because there was this thing of like me thinking I'm better. I mean, that's what people would tell me. You think you're better because you speak English, that kind of thing. And I think probably English was considered like this like privileged language that people spoke. People that had money, people probably that have money speak English. That was sort of the idea of what people thought. I was always a shy child. I was an introvert. But also at times I'd be a class clown as well. You know, I'd be a class clown. And yeah, I had to gauge life like that, I guess, at a young age. How did abuse affect me? It made me scared. It made me scared of adults, I guess, especially particularly my dad. Seeing that side made me scared of him. It made me angry as well. I mean, I think as a kid I was like, I don't want to be like this, you know. I like for me it was like I wouldn't want to touch alcohol, because I saw the impact and what it did in our family. So yeah, it made me scared of him. I guess also to the point where, yeah, with his abuse, there was a point where I was like a teenager and I just had enough of his. And he came home one day and he was drunk. And I was probably like, how old was I? Probably 17 or 18, somewhere around there. And he came back and he was knocking on the window and swearing outside. He was like calling my mom, because that's what would happen. He'd swear a lot. He'd call my mom and that kind of stuff. And I remember him coming into the house and I just had like enough, and like I just lost my shit and I beat him up, you know. And obviously I feel ashamed about that now, talking about that now, you know. But I guess the point was that I just had enough of it, and I thought, you know, like, let me stand up to it. And after that, I mean, there was a lot of shame for doing that, for beating him up, you know. But there was also like a sort of like a relief of doing that, you know, almost like, okay, this ends now, it needs to stop, you know. And I guess it did stop, you know, it did stop, because he probably realized that it can't be the way it was, you know. And even now, I mean, in the older days, they like, him and my mom are like best friends basically, you know. Yeah, that behavior stopped, you know. He's looked at himself, he's done some of his work, and I'll get into that later. Yeah, so that's how that stopped. And but it did affect me. It also made me, it kind of made me view women and how I see women differently, you know, in terms of I need to behave a certain way in order for women to respect me, you know what I mean? And yeah, it Would
you say it affected your self-esteem? Could have led to...
Yeah, definitely affected my self-esteem. Yeah, definitely. I mean, look, the funny thing is, like, and something that I don't want to admit is like probably the apple didn't fall far from the tree kind of thing, you know, with my dad, because it's like the man I despised, I became that man. So, you know, I became an abusive man. I became an alcoholic. I became a drug addict as well, you know. But also I don't want to blame, and because no one forced me to take drugs or anything like that, right? I made a choice. And I guess when I found drugs at a young age, there was also like, because I guess as a kid I felt weird in my own body. I felt strange. When I started using drugs, I was 15, I guess. 15. But also, for me, it was like a thing of feeling like this indifferent, weird kid who wore specs, who had braces. And when it comes to self-esteem, I think that stuff affected my self-esteem, also being teased by other kids. But also I was lucky in a sense that my mom could afford for me to go to like schools that wasn't here. So, because like schools in the township were like hardcore, they were rough, And then I moved to a school in Doringfontein, and there it was kind of like a bit easier, I was with kids who spoke English, privileged kids, so it wasn't as hectic. But I think there was always this thing of wanting to be accepted and where do I belong, where do I fit in? And I guess with the drugs, that's what happened. There was this thing of brotherhood, of me and my friends having this thing in common, and we're all smoking weed, thinking we're old. Because also, I guess, with using drugs, the people around me, they became like the sort of like sense of respect, almost like I'm a man now. It probably like being initiated, I think other men go to the mountain. For me, being in the initiation would probably be like using drugs and sleeping with women at a young age could almost like prove that now I'm a man, you know what I mean? Which is bullshit. I mean, I was a boy, you know what I mean? Yeah.
And how would you say that, what kind of person did the drugs turn you into?
Well, I mean, obviously in the beginning it was fun. Also, I mean, it kind of, boosts my confidence on some level. When I think about it, when I think about girls, when I think about talking to girls, because I mean, like myself talking to girls as a boy, I would like freak out. I just wouldn't do that. I was just like too scared, But when I drank, I remember they used to have day clubs back in the day. They called them matinees. And there was a club in Carlton Center where I went with my brother and my sister. I think I went with my sister, my elder sister, and from my mother's side. And there was a girl in the club who I liked, Funny enough, she was from Extension 2, where your dad's from. And I remember, because also what happened was, funny enough, at that time, my mom had left my dad. So my mom was like done with my dad's bullshit as well. Interesting. And then we went to live in Extension 2 with my mom's boyfriend. And what was funny was my mom's boyfriend was like a super nice guy. You know what I mean? He'd cook for us. He'd give us spending money. He was like a nice dude. You know what I mean? He was really, really nice. And what was interesting was I'd have to come visit my dad in this house. And my dad would like ask me like weird questions, like, how's it going over there? Like questions. And I'm like, and I probably had to, like, I lied probably, to make him feel to make him feel better about himself, But my mom's boyfriend was a good man, and I also found, it's interesting, that also shaped my life. That kind of made me think of like, men can be a different way. Men can be soft, men can cook. It does, you know what I mean? Men can look after, because that's what that man was doing, dude. He was providing. He was a dope dude. I mean, I don't want to say my dad was a dude, you know what I mean? But I think my dad did the best he could with what he had. Do you get what I mean? And my dad was loving in his own way. But this man's, and I was also like, it was weird for me to experience that. Do you know what I mean? And eventually my mom came back to my dad, and I don't know why, but maybe she did it for us or for me. Like, I feel like, I think about it sometimes and I think, did she come back to my dad for us, or was it because of me that was like, but I don't think I was ever like disrespectful to her boyfriend. I also respected him, he was nice to me, I was nice to him. And then anyway, there was a lot of like weirdness that happened as well. The one day, my cousin left her school shoes here by my dad's house, and my dad got hold of her boyfriend, my mom's boyfriend, and beat him up. So that was the kind of man my dad was, like, very like violent, and almost like I'm the man, And I think it kind of with his masculinity as a man. Seeing that, his wife has got a man and she's going through it, but also for him to experience what was it like on the other side, because he'd do some dumb like that. My dad impregnated my mom, and then he went to impregnate another woman up the road, basically. So that was also weird as well, you know. It's funny that I mentioned that. I haven't seen my brother in like 21 years. Because he used to come visit me when we were lighties. He used to come visit me, and I haven't seen him in 21 years. And recently I reached out to him. I tried in my adulthood to reach out to him, but life lifed, and we never ever got to meet each other or see each other. So I'm a bit nervous about that. I'm a bit scared about that, of what that will be, you know. How will he respond? What is he like? Because of, I guess, also how my life has panned out, you know. And I don't know how his life has panned out, but I see what I've seen is he's a family man. He's with his wife, and yeah, there's also a level of excitement of. But how do you build a relationship after 21 years? I don't know, you know. So I'm a bit nervous about it, but I'm excited to meet him.
Would you say that the trauma you went through purposefully shaped you into who you are today?
Oh yeah, the trauma that I went through definitely impacted me. I mean, even the loss of my brother. That where you sitting, me and my brother used to share that same room. My brother was a gay man, and but also he was an amazing man. He was an affectionate man. He was a beautiful man. I think like when my brother wasn't around in the house, it kind of felt like load shedding, if that makes sense, because he was like this like flamboyant, amazing dude, you know, just a lovely dude. And anyway, so he chose, I don't say he committed suicide, he chose suicide. And I found him in the other room. We shared this room, and I found him in the other room, dead, with foam and blood out of his mouth. And yeah, that fucked us up as a family. It fucked my mom up, you know, completely. I mean, I seen the impact of that. And I mean, there was like just a lot of traumas, you know, from like losing family members to alcoholism. I mean, like I was telling you earlier about my cousin who grew up in this home as well. He was stabbed last year in Kliptown he was stabbed twice, and he died, you know, outside of his girlfriend's house. So as I was driving to Aldo's, I was looking, because there's like the mortuary on the other side, the forensics place, not far from the Coca-Cola thing, far from Viking. And I was just thinking about like what it was like going to identify his body. Well, I didn't go in, but I remember seeing his face on the screen, and they were like, "Is this him?" So people go there. So like a lot of people that are killed, violently killed, you got to go identify their bodies there. And he was there, dead, and his mouth was open. And yeah, I mean, that definitely messed me up and made me scared of and he was also on alcohol, he was on drugs, he was drug addict, you know. And I guess also the reality is that, you know, with drugs and alcohol, if you don't stop, you know, you end up dying, and then it ends up killing you, you know. I mean, they say this in Narcotics Anonymous: jails, institutions, or death, you know. And he's done the institutions, he's done jails, and I guess the last option is death, you know. So I guess there's also like a level of like me being grateful to be alive today, also that I'm sober. But yeah, I mean, definitely, I mean, a lot of the traumas did affect me, and also they became excuses, I guess, to use drugs, because it's like having a card, you know, like this card that gives you this, you can get away with anything, you know what I mean? Like, I've had such a terrible life, I've had all these traumas, I deserve to get high. Do you get what I mean? I deserve, because I had such a cuck life. I grew up in a township, all these excuses, you know what I mean? So yeah, those became like excuses to get high. I mean, I lost when I was 20, I had a son with a girl who lived just down the road here, and we were dating for like 7 years on and off, but also my first girlfriend, and we had a son, and he lived for 3 weeks and he passed away, you know. So yeah, I mean, that also affected me, you know, but I guess it also became an excuse because the time he passed away I was clean, and then I went back to using, you know. And then I remember my sister asking me, "Why? Like, what's up? Like, you were clean. What's going on?" And then I was like, "Well," and she was like, "Is it because of the death of your son that you're using again?" And I was like, "Yeah, I don't know, you know. But I guess any excuse. It's hot. Let me go drink. It's cold. Let me go get high. Whatever. There was always an excuse, you know. And I was always good at bullshitting and lying to myself, you know. So." And being dishonest, but also, I mean, I look at like how my addiction has affected the people around me. Definitely, it's impacted my mother, my father. I mean, geez, I used to ransack this house when they were gone to work. You know what I mean? I used to steal from the house. I used to sell their shit in the squatter camps. I used to go sell all their stuff for drugs. You know what I mean? Stuff that I'm not proud of. And I mean. Getting sober, I had to kind of pay back, you know. I mean, the one thing I'm proud of is, you know, getting sober was I bought them a car, you know, and also just being present in their lives. And yeah, I mean, because I think I went to like 7 rehabs, dude. So with 7 rehabs, you like, every time it's like, no, I'm sorry, you know. There's always this, I'm sorry. But then you keep fucking up. So for me it was like, okay, so instead of saying I'm sorry, let my actions speak, you know. So my actions has definitely I mean, the fact that I'm sober is like a way of making amends to them, because obviously they want the best for me. I mean, even sitting here today to call my mom and say, listen, like, things are not working out, you know, with jobs and the way I wanted life to be, you know, with holding space, and I'll talk about that. And ideally, I mean, what I would want is to do, and working also in mental, in psychiatric hospitals and rehabs. That's also been like a game changer for me, you know, getting sober. I mean, I think, so my sponsor at the time was like, what are you good at? You know, I was like, well, I think I'm good at being with drug addicts because I've been to so many rehabs. And then I started working in a rehab. I went to go work in a rehab. And that's kind of been my career, you know, for most of my life. I worked in a psychiatric hospital. And then I went and I started my own thing called the Holding Space Circles, you know. And yeah, I mean, why I started that was because we've got such a high rate of suicide, male suicide in this country, but particularly with black and brown men. It's insane. So for me it was like, okay, so how do I turn this pain that I have with my brother's loss, how do I turn it into power? And it became the power that I have today is creating spaces for men, so men don't have to feel alone, you know, because I mean, I think the part of being a man in this world is we're alone. We've got to provide, we've got to have the jobs. I mean, it's like also what I was thinking to myself is like, the fact that my things haven't worked out, right? How do I feel about myself? Do I beat myself up? Do I kind of go, shit, I'm useless, I'm not good enough, I'm not paying child support for my kids, I've got 2 daughters, I'm not taking care of them financially, all that stuff, right? Does that mean that, is it true that I am just this typical colored dude who, like, you know, gave up on life and is useless? And I think the truth is I'm not, you know, because if I have to like really think about it, I think I've tried my best, you know. I've tried my best in terms of building my career within the mental health space for men, and it hasn't worked. So now it's like I'm coming back home. How does that feel, Brian? Like I'm 43. I mean, I think like there's also the judgments of like, shit, I should have my shit together at 43. Did I ever think I'm gonna have my shit together? I mean, I thought at this age I'd probably have a house, I'd have, a family, all that stuff. And it's not going that way. And do I beat myself up about it? No. Do I feel about coming home? Yeah, of course I do. I guess there's a level of embarrassment. But
I wanted to say that right now, mentally, you could be at that point where you were a few years ago.
Sure.
Like, let's say just before you relapse. What is your coping mechanism now for you not to go into that place again?
So my coping mechanism for today is for me not to relapse. That's a good question. Is definitely support, like picking up a phone, bruh, like just talking to like people and just speaking the truth instead of like lying to myself about where I'm at. Being honest about like, bruh, like today I don't feel like getting out of bed. Today, just being honest and asking for help and getting out of my head. I do a lot of volunteer work. I do volunteer work at a place called Cross the Divide in Parkhurst, and they feed about 150 homeless people. And then I run a group with the guys. So when they done feeding the men, and then I take some of them. So there's usually about 15 or 20 of them that come to the class that I run. And for me, that's been helpful as well. So getting outside of myself. So doing service helps me, you know what I mean? Because then I'm not stuck in my head and thinking how my life is, you know what I mean? It's almost like just like giving back. But also, because I think, in addiction, that was my life. It was all about me. What can I get? What can I get from you? Like if you were coming here today, it was almost like, hey, how am I gonna manipulate Wadeland? How am I gonna, do you know what I mean? How can I get like a $50 to go smoke a button kind of thing from him? Do you know what I mean? That kind of thing. So today I do have support, and I'm grateful for that support. That I can, and without like ego. And put my ego aside and just humble myself and ask for help. Like, what's the worst thing that could happen?
Yeah. How important is it for men, especially black and brown men, to have that kind of support? Especially because we live in a society where the expectation is for men not to show emotion, or to show vulnerability. How important is that support, obviously?
Sure. How important is support for us as men, black and brown men? It's vital. For me, it's vital. Like it's almost like that muscle that I needed to. What do you call it? It's like when you gym, right? You get used to it, your body gets used to it. So I had to like flex that muscle all the time, that asking for help muscle all the time, and get used to it. That it doesn't make me weak. It doesn't mean if I phone you at 2 o'clock in the morning and I feel suicidal, or that makes me weak. I think that's more powerful. Like opening up is more powerful. I think just in terms of like stuff that I do. I go for walks a lot on my own in the park. That helps me with my mental health. I like the fact that I like doing service, But also like the reality is I've got like amazing people around me that believe in me, that want the best for me, and that want me to win, So for me, that's crucial, But also, like, I still go to AA. I go to AA meetings and I talk about what's going on in my life. I've got a sponsor, and I still do the basic stuff. People are like, but I've been sober for 21 years, and people are like, why do you still go to AA? I'm like, yeah, I go to AA because I don't want to forget where I come from. You know what I mean? Because it's easy for me to forget. Like, oh, I'm fine now. You know, I can have probably one cider. It's not that bad. But you know, that's my head talking a lot of shit in my ear, trying to convince me that I can. But the reality is, I know I can't drink. You know, for me, if I drink, it's over. I'm dead. You know, yeah. I mean, that's why I still believe. I mean, God willing, I'll do AA until I die. You know what I mean? Yeah.
What would you say is what could be the cure to suicide, or the prevention to suicide?
Yeah. So yeah. What could be the cure? The prevention for suicide? Well, in an ideal world, okay, so my vision, right? My vision was always not to have this thing in the northern suburbs. I mean, I live in the suburbs. I mean, I was living in the suburbs. And, you know, it's like dealing with middle-class men. So, but ideally, what would happen in an ideal world, my vision would be to have holding spaces in schools. So where we teach boys, young boys in high school, or even in primary school, that they can sit in circle with other men and they can be honest, they can express themselves. And obviously, I mean, the motto of that would be there'd be confidentiality. Whatever is said here stays here. What else? Yeah, so people can. So we're creating that culture that it's okay for you to speak about what's going on without being judged. And that's what we do in holding space. You know, we don't give men advice. We don't tell men how to be men. And that's what I do. I don't tell men how to be men because I don't know. I mean, I think we're all making it up as we go every day, right? So there's no manual on how to be a man. But I think the important part is definitely having holding space in schools, in primary schools, and in high schools. But yeah, I think that could eliminate the loneliness. So my thing is, a lot of the time men suffer in silence, in isolation. Yeah. So yeah, and men are usually isolated. So usually there's this thing of like, I'm a man, you know, I should get on with it. I'm tough. Men are tough. Men are hard. You know, you can't even cry at a funeral, which is bullshit. I mean, it's a bloody sad event. Cry. You know, so she said. So. We can't see. Keep quiet. So yeah, I think that would break. I think that would alleviate a lot of it, creating healthy structures where men can just be honest. That's all. So obviously the opposite of isolation would be connection, where we connected to each other, because the reality, it's like when men meet men, it's like this thing of we already like look at it, we scan each other, what's he wearing, all that shit, you know what I mean? And it's almost, I mean, you've seen how it works. It's almost like the guy with the most money, he gets more say, right? The guy with more money, he gets more say. I mean, it's funny. I mean, even in like traditional like township mentality is like, you know, it's like usually like the drug dealer would have more power, right? The biggest gangster would have more power, so he'd have more of a say. If you got more money, you got more power. But how do we turn that around? You know, it's almost like your drunk uncle, right? Do we really like respect him, the drunk uncle? No, we don't, because he's the drunk uncle. But we usually respect the one that's living in Australia and one of the money. But how do we change that? You know what I mean? We need to change that narrative, that actually this guy is a man. You know, he needs to be heard. Like whatever he's saying is important as well. You know.
How important? How can I put it? How important do you think? Well, how important are positive fathers in the wood?
In the
wood.
In the wood.
Yeah, especially for what you're speaking about. Because I feel like especially in the elders, there's more negative fatherly role models. So what do you think, what change could we see if there were more positive fathers when it comes to mental health, psychologically as well? What would the boy child look like in that world?
Well, I mean, in an ideal world, if there's like both parents, right?
You could have both parents, but both parents could be messed up.
Sure. But I mean, in an ideal world where like both parents are like really active and part of the child's life. I mean, you've seen how those kids turn out, what they like. They're completely different, you know, because they're getting the support from the dad's teaching them about boundaries, and it's interesting that that's happening with those kids playing there and the noise, and why I say that is because those are the things that we need to accept in life. That I mean, I think in the old in an old world, kids would be like shut down, right, where they're not made to be kids, and they'd be like, we'd go the kids out now, you know what I mean, and tell them go play somewhere else, you know, they're making a noise or whatever, you know. And is that helpful? No. I mean, I think what I'm trying to say is also kids need to be kids, right? But what happens in townships is a lot of the time is we have to grow up so quick and become adults, and then what happens is we're robbed of our childhoods. You know, I look at my sister, like for example, my sister had to look after me. She had to like always hold shit down for the family. She had to always be like, because my mom worked night shift, she was a nurse. So then my sister automatically then became a parent. And she shouldn't have been a parent at that young age, you know. And you even see that how it plays out now, even now that we all adults. She's more when it comes to like keeping the family together, she's more like the matriarch in terms of having power. If she says something, we all listen. Do you know what I mean? She's almost like the man van die huis kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? So we all like listen to, we all respect her. You know what I mean? Whatever she says goes, you know. But if things were different, that wouldn't have been. And then you see like as she goes older, then she kind of then like rebels in her old, like maybe in her 40s. Then she rebels. Then she's like now clubbing, partying, and doing all those things. It's almost like living in reverse. You know what I mean? And that's a lot of the township experience is, you know, because we're busy surviving and hustling and doing all these things, and you know, where the whole system is against us, basically, and we're just surviving that and hustling. And then at some point we like, hopefully, I mean, God willing, we get this break, and then we're almost like, okay, now we can breathe a bit. Do you know what I mean? But in an ideal world, if you look at it like, right, I mean, I can talk about race as well, but if you look at like Timmy's life, who grew up in the suburbs, and he's got both parents, and his experience is different. Because when Timmy is a little boy, Timmy is Timmy. Timmy goes to creche. His father's there, his father's loving, his father's affectionate, his mother's loving, she's caring. His father teaches him about boundaries. You know, he goes fishing with his dad. His mom loves him. She's, you know, she teaches him about love, and she cuddles him and all that stuff. She reads books to him at night, you know, all that. So he gets seen. He feels like he's important. You know, he feels like he matters. I mean, for us, a lot of the like black and brown kids, we've got to go outside and go find those things. You know what I mean? I mean, like, it's almost like in relationships, when we date women, then women become our mothers. They end up mothering us because we didn't really have, we weren't mothered. Do you know what I mean? So it just becomes tricky. You know, the black and brown experience is is hard. It's difficult, you know. But I believe if you get all of that, and obviously, I mean, the reality is everybody's going to carry wounds, regardless if you grew up in this perfect family, you know, this Cosby family. Well, before Bill Cosby, before we found out about Bill Cosby, before we knew the Cosbys as the Cosbys. Do you know what I mean? Not the. But what I'm saying is everyone, regardless of how you grew up, you're gonna have wounds, right? And that's just the way it is. So even if you grew up in Greenside in a double-story house with your mom, your dad, your dad being the CEO of what Anglo America or whatever, there's still going to be an impact. And maybe that father then also becomes, that father is like, he's too busy making money, right? He's too busy making money, and he doesn't see you, he doesn't acknowledge you. You know what I mean? And there's also like pressure where you also like, now you become a man, now you also expected to become a CEO. So the bar is already high already. So either way, you know, I think regardless of the circumstances of the way you grew up, we have, but I do believe in like resources are important. We need resources to get to where we need to get to. If we're under-resourced, we won't be able to. I mean, it's like someone saying, "Oh, get a job," when you don't have taxi fare, or you can't go print a CV because you don't have money to go print a CV. So all those, I mean, I look at it like small resources. Those resources help you with your confidence also to have that. So it becomes like a no-brainer. If someone asks you for a CV, it's printed. You can go and you can hand it in. Do you know what I mean? But if you don't have that, then what? Then it just becomes more difficult. Do you know what I mean? The way I understand what you're saying is like, how do you get balance? I think so for me, my life has become different in terms of like the way I look at life. I think that's my perception of life is different, completely different. My perception and the way I see life is different. I don't see life as in it's a competition or I need to be a certain way. Obviously, I mean, we all want the accolades, we all want the big house, we all want those things. But the reality is also, if I had to die today, right, would I be happy? Yes. Am I happy today? Yes. I'm not, because it's not this illusion of I'll be happy when I have that, or when I have that girl I'll be happy, or when I have that house I'll be happy. I'm happy today. Today I'm happy. The fact that I woke up, I'm happy. Like for me, it's not this illusion of, oh, one day I'll be happy. I'm happy today. Today I choose to be happy. The fact that this is happening, the fact that you're interviewing me today, is because also the fact that the fact when you put that post out, the fact that I took responsibility and I DM'd you and I took that's for me, that's it. For me, it's about taking responsibility and not waiting. Do you get what I mean? Because the reality is no one's going to come and save us. You know, I have to save myself. But how do I? Yeah, for me, the balance would be.
So you basically find your inner peace.
Yeah, I'm at peace. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm good. I'm at peace. I'm comfortable in my body on some days, but I'm okay today. You know, I'm meant to be. Like I said, I'm meant to be where I'm meant to be, and this is where I'm meant to be. And so what? So what if I'm not driving the whatever? I don't care. Like, does that make me? Does that make my bigger? Does that? I don't know. Do you get what I mean? I mean, like, without sounding cocky or arrogant. But yeah, I mean, it's just about like being grateful that, you know, I have what I have, and I've got 2 healthy kids. I'm blessed. I've got a higher power. My parents are still alive. Every time I come to their house, here to this house, they make me feel welcome. I'm not a headache to them. I hope, I'm contributing positively to their lives. I hope as a brother as well, I'm contributing to my sister's life as a brother, and not being a up as I was in the past, and giving everyone headaches, and just the fact that I can make someone smile. For me, it's about the small things. It's about even when I go do volunteer work at that place in Parkhurst, we dish up for people. And dishing up for people and greeting them every day, greeting them every Tuesday when we go there, greeting them, acknowledging them that, because the reality is, do we really see the homeless? Do we? No, I don't think so. It's almost like with homeless people, they become invisible. But for me, it's about acknowledging acknowledging them, seeing them, greeting them, putting a smile on their face, making a joke. Do you get what I mean? It's about doing random acts of kindness. It's I'll give you an example of that. And the thing is also, it's doing where you're not doing good stuff, where you're not posting about it. It's almost like with this one girl on my birthday, I went to go buy birthday cake for the guys that my birthday ended up being on a Tuesday. So the guys that I do the group with, I bought cake I bought cake and bought that cake. And then I found out the cashier's birthday is also today, the same day at Spa. And then what I did was I went to go buy a cake and gave her the cake, and I left. And I didn't ask her for a number or anything like that, or wanted anything in return. And that made her smile, and I walked away. And for me, that's what life's about. Life's about those small little things, you know what I mean? It's not about these miraculous big things. For me, that's what life's about,
What would you say to someone, a man in particular, who's fell off and is trying to get back on his feet again?
Well, that's me. What did I tell myself? Well, look, I don't think I fall. Look, I just think sometimes it's also important to tell, the wording is important, and what we tell ourselves. So I wouldn't say I fell off.
As I said, I didn't.
Yeah, no, but it's also the language is important. It's more about life happening the way life happens, but also knowing that I did the best I could with what I had, and just being gracious with myself and being kind to myself, because the world can be harsh, so for instance, if I didn't have another opportunity, right, and I came back home, say, everything wasn't working out, I came back home and I moved back home permanently, what would that be like?
Because you're not there right now.
Yeah. But if that was the case, be kind to myself. Be kind to myself. Be gracious with myself. And because there's also the people around me, right? So people that live in the hood, so my neighbors, people that know me here, and they're like, okay, he's back, right? So, but then, what are their judgments of me? So they're probably judging me as whatever he did failed, right? So that's why he's back home. Or that's the story that is created, right? But because we're good at I know I judge myself more than any other person judges me. So I think I just be more kind to myself and loving to myself, and know that that this is God's will, and that's okay. And I don't have to. Again, I don't have an excuse to go get high. I don't have an excuse to drink. And also to look at the brighter side of it, the good side of it. The good side is I can be with my parents. Do you get what I mean? They're old. that I can spend time with them. So to look at the pros of that, to look at how. I mean, I always tell my friends, I say to them, I'm allergic to townships. But also the thing is, because what happens is, look, it's like if I go to Cape Town, do I want to go to the township in Cape Town? I don't, because I think what I'm saying is all townships are the same. I know what townships are about. I grew up in townships, right? And not to diss townships, but also to just, I guess, what I've seen in townships and what I know of the life I've experienced was horrible. Like just feeling hopeless. Like I never, like for me, like when I was using drugs, I always thought like I'm gonna be one of those dudes that when the auntie jumps out of the taxi, I'm gonna help her with her bags and carry her bags home and ask her for a 2 rand or a 5 rand. Do you know what I mean? That kind of guy. So for me it was always like I never thought like there's another world outside there. Do you know what I mean? I mean, obviously now being exposed to like this Western world, or this world where, you know, talking about being lactose intolerant or you know, whatever kind of bouginess. But I mean, like for me, like my motto's always been like I got sober to have a better life. Do you know what I mean? Like I've always wanted a better life. Like for me, and especially also within drugs, like there's like a hopelessness in that. Like into it, like I mean, like dude, I was smoking drugs with my time as friends, my father's friends. Do you know what I mean? Like that kind of hopelessness. Smoking buttons in the bathroom of his house. Do you know what I mean? And his wife is there, they're cooking, and just like that hopelessness, just like that dysfunctional, just like that, what do you call it, like degradation, like hopelessness, you know, of, and I've seen a lot of that, you know. I mean, like I look at like for instance, like if there's like a hot girl living at a certain house, and then all of a sudden like a dealer dates her. And then all of a sudden he's now got all the power. He's like vurvaying everyone in the house because he's like now manfane, because he's got like all the money. Do you know what I mean? And that family's poor. Do you know what I mean? All that. I mean, there's a lot of those stories as well, which is sad. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, yeah.
So what would you say, in your own words, what does trust the process mean?
I actually for a long time liked when I saw that, I was like, wow, I like that, because that's also been a motto for me. Trust the process. For me, that means let go and let God. But obviously, God helps those who help themselves. But trusting that whatever happens, I'll be okay. Like knowing that whatever happens, the universe is not out to get me. That the world is not out to get me over, but that God has the best plan for me and my life, and that's the process of trusting and having faith that whatever happens, I'm in good hands. But as long as I do the work, I need to do. I mean, it's not like, you know, if I'm now trusting the process, I'm going to go steal cars every weekend. That's not trusting the process. That's like being dodgy and dishonest, you know what I mean? But trusting the process is about like staying on a straight line, doing good, being kind, being a decent human being, being an honest human being, with integrity, being someone reliable, you know what I mean? For me, yeah, let go and let God. I mean, that's the only way I would describe it, is let go and let God.
Last question that I want to ask, and you can think about it. How important do you think it is for men in today's society to be connected to their purpose? And this is what I picked up from what you're saying. Yeah. As long as you're connected to your purpose, the other things aren't.
Well, I mean, I look at the two of you. I mean, I think like you guys have been proper, like connected to your purpose for like the longest time, right? So what that says is, I mean, even like those skits that you guys make, you know, the funniness, but then also like for me, what that says is like, there's this thing of like not giving up, no matter what, and whatever like, cause I think the odds are against us anyway, as brown men. You know, the odds are against us. I mean, when you look at like how many of us really like get that breakthrough, not a lot of us, you know. But for me, what I take from you guys is like that consistency, and that's what also I practice in my life, is just being consistent. Like even if I don't want to go to holding space, right, to the group sometimes, and I just don't want to go, and I'm like, what's the point of this? You know, it's about those days going and actually showing up. It's all just about showing up. Dress up, show up, despite whatever the way I'm feeling, because my feelings won't determine the outcome, right? So it's more just about like just believing in this vision, and I still believe in the vision that I have. It's not like I've given up on my dream and my goal, because I think for me there's always the excitement about it. There's always, and I believe it's my purpose. You know, it's in me. It's inherently in me. It's the stuff I've been doing it for like the longest time. I'm good at it. I'm good at being with men. I'm good at making men cry. I'm good at creating spaces where men can be themselves. Obviously, with me sharing myself and my vulnerabilities and my insecurities about myself, because I mean, there's a lot of insecurities, you know what I mean? There's a lot of like, and there's a lot of fears as well. I mean, it's like worried about money, worried about petrol, worried about, you know, all these things. There are these fears, you know. But one thing, yeah, is just, if that dream is there, to not give up on that dream, you know what I mean? But also it's like, yeah, like sometimes I listen to like celebrities or like guys like Pharrell, and then I'm like, and then I get annoyed, you know. I'm like, yeah, it's easy for you to say that because you're rich, you know. So I try not to listen to that stuff, a lot of that stuff as well, but to do life to the best of my ability, in my own words, in my purpose. But yeah, I still believe in what I do, and it's just being consistent and not giving up, like no matter what. Yeah, I think so.
What's up, fam? Hope you're doing well. If you have a story to tell and you think it's interesting and it's worth people watching, then please hit me up and let's have a conversation and hear what that story is, and then we can do a young interview about that story. You don't have to be a celebrity, but if you are, you're more than welcome to share your story as well. We're looking for ordinary people with extraordinary stories.